pain was all too severe to be just a simple stomach ache, I informed my mom. I then pleaded for my mom to take me to the hospital. But me being the over-the-top and over-dramatic kid, my mom decided to test me to see if the pain was as bad as it was. If you go to the hospital, you'll have to get a shot, using my severe fear of needles to her advantage. My mom's nonchalant attitude was shattered and turned into concern when I said the words she never expected to come from my lips. I don't care, I muttered. So my mom, realizing this was serious, frantically drove me to the emergency room while my dad stayed home with my sister, Kristen. Of course, since it was fairly early in the morning, just around 8 o'clock a.m., we hit the early morning commute traffic and just about every possible red light there was to get to the hospital. Once we finally made it to the hospital, we entered the emergency room filled with people. Me being, once again, a dramatic and spoiled child, I brought a huge fluffy blanket which was taller and fully spread out than my actual height at the time. I also forced my mom to bring a large metal pot from the kitchen, absolutely convinced that I was going to throw up. My dramatic entrance to the ER, holding my fluffy blanket combined with a huge kitchen pot seemed to concern the staff members more than necessary. But even with the concerns, my mom and I still had to sit in the waiting room for 45 minutes until they finally called my name. My mom holds my hand, slowly guiding me to the checkup room. The doctor greets us with a smile, attempting to put us at ease. The doctor begins to ask me about the pain in my abdomen, like where it started and what the pain's like. I explained that it started in the morning when I woke up and that it's really bad. And the doctor asked me from a scale from 1 to 10, 1 being lowest and 10 being highest, how bad it was, and I didn't even blink when answering. I instantly said 10. The doctor then began to try and touch my stomach, to find where the pain was, and he couldn't even touch my stomach. It just hurt so bad, not with barely any contact. And he told me that I was going to have to get a sonogram done to see what the inside of my side was looking like. And I had no idea what a sonogram was, so he explained to me just pretty much when you're pregnant, you get these, it's just a camera that shows your inside to see how it's looking. And the doctor sent us into the room, and a very kind nurse greeted us at the bed. And the nurse began to rub a cold jelly-like substance on my stomach, which felt like needles being stabbed through my side, even without little contact. Worried and seeing that I was still scared of everything as a child, and still now, I asked if it was going to hurt. And the lady started laughing and said, no, it's not going to hurt at all. It's just a camera looking in your stomach. Even though I should have known, since I was already in severe pain, that it was going to hurt anyways. And so right when the image of my side came up on that screen, the nurse instantly went silent and had a very concerned look on her face. And my mom kept asking her, do you see anything wrong? And she wouldn't respond. So after observing my stomach for a few minutes, we were put into a waiting room, and the doctor came out explaining that it showed inflammation around my appendix, and explained that I might have appendicitis, which is uncommon and deadly for a young child to get at my age. And we were very confused on what this was, so he explained that the appendicitis is when your appendix becomes inflamed, irritated, and if it's not removed, it can burst inside of your body, resulting in possible death from the appendix's harmful bacteria. The doctor tried to ease the diagnosis by saying he wanted me to get a blood test done to make sure, because they weren't positive of the diagnosis quite yet. Once my mom made sure my dad was driving to the ER after the serious diagnosis, we headed to the lab where yet another kind, smiling nurse was ready to take my blood. And of course, with my extreme fear, phobia of needles, I was still asking, is it going to hurt, even though I already knew it was going to hurt. But she gave me a smaller needle called a butterfly needle, and it didn't hurt as bad as I thought it would. And we had to wait in the ER for about an hour for the blood results to come back. And the doctor and my dad had come by that time, and the doctor said that I for sure had appendicitis, and that it was really close to bursting, and it was going to be fatal if we didn't take it out as soon as possible. So we had to find a time, and he was explaining that they would sedate me, put me to sleep, and make a small incision on the side of my appendix. And once the doctors located my appendix, they would take it out, stitching me back up, and send my appendix out to be tested. After hearing about the procedure, my mom's concerns, she was worried about me being sedated because I was so young and so small. But the doctor assured me that he'd done it successfully with children many times. And my dad had to end up signing the permission slip because my mom was just too upset and she just couldn't sign it to have me be cut open. So, and by the way, this was around 10 p.m. on Mother's Day. And I'm being placed in a hospital bed on wheels, and I end up waking up with no clothes on and on a metal table before I went to surgery. And I was still worried because I I worry a lot about ridiculous things, and I kept asking him to see the knife that I was going to be cut open with. And he kept telling me, I can't do that, like I can't show you the knife, but I still kept asking anyways. And I eventually asked the doctor if I could call my sister, and he let me. So I'm still like not clothed on this naked table, calling my sister on this weird nurse's phone, and she wasn't paying attention to me at all. I was trying to explain to her what happened. She was just in her own little world. So before I knew it, after I hung up the call, the IV was in my arm, and I fell asleep. And I woke up with my side aching, and to my parents' tired and relieved smiles, the doctor let us know that the operation was successful, and then I got my appendix out just in time before it bursted. I spent a few days in the hospital. My parents found me a stuffed animal, but I was not able to get any rest because I was scared of the creepy girl patient next to me. My mom convinced the doctor to let me go home early, explaining that I'd get better sleep at home since I couldn't sleep with the other patient in the room. And before leaving, apparently me almost dying wasn't good enough for just me to get a stuffed animal, so we had to go buy Kristen one to make things fair. And when I got home, I recovered for a week or so, and life soon went back to normal. To this day, I still have the scar on the right side of my stomach.